Hello, I am your host, Veronica. On this podcast show, I highlight people who have experienced challenges and have yet were able to overcome their challenges. So today, I'm talking to my high school friend and a friend of our podcast, Steven Mosqueda.
Hello.
So, Steven, you're here today because I wanted to talk a little bit about an experience that you had in high school that kind of changed the trajectory of your life.
Yes.
So I was always, I know we were friends in high school. We lost touch for a little bit, and now when I found you on Facebook, I was inspired by what you were doing, what was going on in your life, and I knew that if I ever did a podcast, I definitely wanted to interview you. So here we are, years later. I'm doing my podcast, and here you are. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yes, definitely an honor.
Thanks. So can you tell us a little bit about high school and what it was that occurred that happened in which changed your life?
Well, going into high school, it was all about basketball. It was like I'm gonna make my mark playing and do the best, you know. So freshman year, played freshman, pretty basic, you know what I mean. Sophomore year came and I really developed, and I got a lot better, and I made the varsity team. And that was a big shock because I didn't expect that. I didn't anticipate that. But the coaches saw that, I was good enough to be at that level, you know. So,
yeah, in high school, and not to interrupt you, but I always remember you as being the athlete, like being really good at your sport, which was basketball.
Yes. So I mean, it's that talent, hard work debate, you know. And I had the hard work, and so it was. I was willing to put that work in.
You want to move your mic a little bit closer?
Yeah, definitely. No, I was that guy. I was that athlete that wasn't afraid to put the hard work in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good. And so, what was it that happened that ended up changing your life? What was the event?
In high school, well, I mean, so. Sophomore year was a big year to grow. Junior year, I got starting position, so I started to play more and develop more. Senior year was supposed to be my year where I was just going to kill it and I was just going to wreck it. And all three of our coaches were fired. And that was a big thing for me because I really enjoyed playing for them, developed a big relationship with them. And then my family experienced something very, very tragic, and that was the death of my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of Mexican families, is that she was the glue. She was the glue that held it together, and pretty much, you know, not blaming nothing on that. I just became I wasn't motivated the same anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, seeing a lot of sadness within my family. The changes in the basketball program itself. And so, yeah, I didn't end up playing my senior year.
Okay. So you didn't play your senior year. And then what happened after high school?
So, I had a kid. My son was born about like a week before I graduated. And I was getting the hang of being a father, getting a job, you know. I was going to go back to school and start playing basketball all over and make a run at it. And then, on the way to go see him and his mother, I got in a car accident on the 91 freeway in Riverside. And I don't remember the accident itself. Everything I gathered was from police reports and just the fact that, okay, I remembered where I was going, and where I was going was to go see my son Anthony and his mother, and we were going to have a day out. And just to throw it in there, the day was beautiful. You know, I think I told you earlier before we started, I had a new get-up. I had some new shoes, I had new clothes, my car was all clean, the day was beautiful.
And can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Like in high school, I remember like your gear was always clean. Like you had a fresh cut and you had clean shoes, you had swag, right?
Yeah.
Like it was that. So I can just imagine that day, like I'm gonna go see my boy and his mom and we're gonna have a fun day, my car is clean, like I can envision that.
Yeah, I was trying, man. I always tried to stay up on it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the day. And that's one of the things I remember, that it was beautiful. It couldn't have been a beautifuler day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so you're in this car accident. Okay, and what do you remember after that? Like, what's the first thing you remember?
Waking up in the hospital, and I just kind of remember like blurs and like sequences of like I would wake up, and then I'd wake up again, and then I'd wake up, and then finally it was like, okay, I understood that I was in a really bad accident, and yeah, I didn't understand the extent of my injuries early on, because I was still pretty beat up, and but once I came out of that and I was told this is what happened, and then I could recollect some things, it started to get put together. Mm-hmm. Hey, what happened, for the most part, and that was that. I was on the 91 freeway, about like 200 yards from the Madison exit. From the police report, they said I made an unsafe lane change, and a flatbed truck hit me in the left rear of my car. Mm-hmm. Now, for those from Riverside, I don't know if you remember this, but at that time in 2004, there was no side railing near that exit. And so it just went down into an embankment of palm trees. And so I was hit, and I ran off the side of the freeway and head on with the palm tree. So at first it was like, through the police report, and I'm kind of going ahead a little bit, but through the police report, it was like there was only one witness, and that just baffled me, because it was like, what do you mean there's only one witness is on the freeway? And the thing was that I was down in this embankment and no one could see me. Mm.
Do you know how long? Well, I don't know if you obviously don't remember, but did you find any documentation that said how long you were down there where nobody saw you? Or?
I have not got any like concrete of how long I was in there, but I know that the fire department came and they had to remove me with the jaws of life. Mm. And so they, converted my car, and that's how they got me out.
Wow. I'm sure that was a scary time for your parents. I know it was for a lot of your friends.
Yes.
So it's unfortunate. But I think that the reason why you're here is because you're inspiring. So let's talk a little bit about what happened after the car accident, okay? So you get in this car accident. You don't remember exactly what happened. You're in the hospital. You remember waking up. Now, what does the recovery process look like for you?
So in the beginning, and this is what really stands out to me, is that it was probably like, it was late. It was already 8 or 9, you know what I mean? All the visitors were everybody was gone. And then I had a case manager come in, and that was when she recommended amputation. And when she said that, I lost my mind. I just lost it. I remember calling my mother hysterical, like, no, this is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. What do you mean? Mm-hmm. And she was telling me, no, there's athletes in the Paralympics, you'll still be good. And I wasn't hearing none of that. I was under this illusion that I was going to get better, and I was just going to go back to work and just do everything like normal. Again, I didn't understand how bad I was, so kind of backtracking, what? I was in a coma for a week and a half. So, in that time I already had like three surgeries. Mm-hmm. And so basically the recovery process was, hey, the doctors, hey, we're going to stay optimistic, bone grafts, skin grafts to try to, save the leg. Mm-hmm. But looking back, I think they already knew that, hey, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. But at least they tried for you.
Yeah, and I had to go through that process. Again, looking back, had I just went ahead and did it and said, hey, let's just cut it off and go, I would have always been wondering, hey, would I have got better? And no, the fact that I went through that process of surgeries and actually seeing for myself, and me making that decision to say, let's do this. Mm-hmm. I have faith in my doctors. My mother's been in the medical field for like 30 years, and she actually knew some of the doctors that were going to perform the procedure. So I had a lot of faith in that. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of faith. And then, at the same time, it was like, it can't be any worse. Because because recovery process, I was in the hospital about 3-4 months.
Wow.
Got out of the hospital. My leg was covered with the brace, and kind of going ahead, I lost all articulation in my ankle. I had a rod placed from the ankle to the knee, and I couldn't plantar flex or dorsiflex my foot, so it was just like stuck in place, and it was ugly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Especially like, I'm going to put my
It's like,
shoes
dang,
on this.
yeah,
My shoes are going to look
it's like,
clean.
dang, you know,
Yeah.
thought I had beautiful legs before, but
Oh
yeah.
man. And so I think what I heard that you said, you know, I tried everything, and I think part of what makes you at peace with what your situation is right now is probably knowing that you did everything you could, and that this is really the best option. If not keeping your own leg, then this is the next best thing.
Yeah.
And that they let you, they did on your time. Like there was, you know, your doctors showed you, look, this is what we're trying, but you came to the conclusion this would be the best after you saw that they already tried. And
some of the doctors, I forgot some of their names, but one of them was Dr. Cernet, and he was out of Arrowhead Orthopedics. And I believe one of the things that he told me was like, hey, you know what, you're gonna be just fine. You're gonna be better. And if you just have that will, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna do it. And I think that was just, and he might have stated it a little bit different, but that's all that I was listening to. Like, all right.
That was the gist of it.
That was the gist. It was like, all right, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let's go through it. Yeah.
That's good, because I think that doctors, they go in, they're already like, what did you say, like, not, what is the word, like jaded? You know what I mean? Like, oh, we see this all the time.
Yeah.
But the fact that he still was able to instill hope in you, like, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that would have been, that's comforting. No, coming from a doctor who deals with this day in and day out.
Yeah. Again, it wasn't the same, you know, hearing it in the beginning, basically, again, seeing for myself and then hearing it, and again, it was like, I couldn't endure any more surgeries. I couldn't do that, you know. So if it was a small percentage that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna have a chance, it was like, I'm gonna take it, because it was either I do it or I stay like how I was, and how I was with the leg having limited function and my body not being as mobile, you know what I mean, me not being as mobile, being on a lot of medications, it was deteriorating. I was like deteriorating slowly. And so, yeah, that was, no, I gotta make this decision.
So having this, your leg amputated really allowed you to live a better, more active life than the way it was before you got amputated?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Yes, most definitely.
Good. Okay, so what happens, so after you decide I'm going to get this, you know, my leg amputated, and then you get it amputated, how was the recovery process after that?
So there was the surgery wasn't, again, I understood what I was doing. You know, I understood that this is going to happen. Not saying I went into it with the smiling face. You know, I had my tears, you know, falling. My tears were falling, you know, scared, but the surgery process wasn't as bad as I thought, you know, partially too, because, I mean, they kept me medicated, so. Yeah. You know. No, it wasn't that bad. You know, I had a worse time with my wisdom teeth, you know.
That's good to know.
I caught a bad one with my wisdom teeth. No,
yeah. Are there any, will we find any videos of you coming out of sedation from your wisdom teeth on YouTube, or any videos out there?
But, you know, my cousins were trying to make me laugh. You know, your face gets all swollen, and then I'm, you know, like doing that whole bit. But yeah, no. But a lot of it, so after my leg got amputated, you know, again, the pain, it took away a lot of that weight. That leg was just there, you know, there was no function to it, so it was just extra weight. So that took a lot off my body, is, you know, literally. Literally took a lot off my body. No, you're good. It did, but I couldn't look at it for months. Like, I couldn't, like, look down. So I was going into the hospital pretty frequent for them to do dressing changes, and I just couldn't. I couldn't look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you experience, you said, it was hard. So did you experience bouts of depression, anxiety, like any of those issues?
So, yeah, I was already in a depressed state. You know what I mean? Like, this is again. I had this. I'm gonna get better. I didn't realize again how bad and how much this is gonna change. So yeah, there was a lot of depression, sadness. I had a lot of support, so that definitely helped. But yeah, that was all there. Every emotion you could possibly have was all there. I think the biggest one was, again, I hadn't met any amputees. I didn't met anybody that experienced that. I didn't see, and again, at this time, this is at the time where, the Facebook and social media is really emerging. It wasn't what it was today. So now you can go on and you can see, hey, there's a guy my age in South Africa or China or wherever it may be that experienced the same thing, and he's doing this, and hey, I could follow that, and I could find this support system, I could find this support group. There wasn't that. The only person that I knew that had lost their legs was my grandfather, and he lost them to diabetes. And so that was other than that, had to have been like a pirate on a cartoon that I'd seen, you know what I mean? So I didn't see none of it. I didn't have no knowledge of it. So the process was, hey, I got the amputation done, and it was about 6 months before I got my first prosthetic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at that time, I literally had no knowledge. I thought I was going to get one prosthetic, and that was it for life.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's not the case,
No,
right?
No.
Okay, so once you realize how it works, and okay, now I get to meet people. Is that what helped you? Like, how did you get connected with others, or how did you get connected in that community?
I was being real hard-headed. Again, I waited 6 months to get my first prosthetic, but when I got my first prosthetic, I remember staying up like 2 nights straight, walking a little bit, going back home, walking a little bit, going back home.
And can I say, I think that's the athlete in you.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to get this down.
Yeah.
And also, your stubbornness is like our sign, Sagittarius.
Yeah.
We're so stubborn.
Yeah. So without that training of, hey, going through the hell weeks and the practice and the hard practices and the running and understanding what it takes to be an athlete, I don't think I would be who I am today. So that definitely, it makes it more like God had a plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's what's up.
You know what I mean? So, without that, there's no me today. The same me.
Yeah, it changed you. So so you get your prosthetic. So how was it though? Like, after you started working and like walking in it, and how did you meet? Like, tell us what you do within the community, or how did you get connected to that community? What happens after that? Once they find this gem, hiding in the riverside. Yeah. How do they choose? Like, how do you end up working with this kind of population?
So again, my stubbornness. I was trying to do everything on my own. Learn everything on my own, and I wasn't successful. I was, again, that stubbornness didn't work in that sense. But really, it happened one day. I was at the park, and I started like running, and I was like, man. And then I picked up the ball, and then I was like, man, I could still do this. Okay, now where are the guys like me, or where are the people like me, men, women, where are they? And so I started doing some research, and I could only find, and this no disrespect, because I've met some amazing athletes that play in wheelchairs, that play wheelchair sports, but I could only find wheelchair basketball, and that just blew my mind with the sport that's so universal. It was like I couldn't find any outlets to again, where are the people like me that want to play ball standing up and want to continue? And then I stumbled upon AMP1 basketball, and I reached out to them. And mind you, the way I found them was through YouTube, going through that, scrolling, and they had just did a commercial with Jordan Brand called Rise Above. It was a segment called Rise Above, where they were highlighting, just different organizations, you know what I mean, that were just spreading positivity, that were just pushing limits and, you know, again, just pushing those boundaries. And so I found them, I emailed them. I was a little cocky with it, like, hey, I think I could play with you guys, you know what I mean? What's up, you know, what's going on? And so I exchanged some emails with them for about a month, you know, and they're like, hey, send us some videos of you playing, of you running. I did all that, and then they're like, all right.
Can I just hold you?
Oh,
real
no,
one
go
second?
for it. Yeah.
I just want to say, like, that is so dope. And this is what, like, my whole podcast is about. Like, you took initiative to reach out to them.
Yeah.
You didn't wait and, like, think, oh, let's see if they find me.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just stay out here playing.
Yeah.
You reached out to them, and that is so dope because even though, like, people are scared, you know, I mean, that wasn't the case for you. You were, like you said, you're confident. You knew that you had what it took. But you took the risk because, you know, I mean, it's still kind of nerve-wracking. Let me send this email and see. Because we're all, I think sometimes we can be scared of rejection too.
Yeah.
But the fact that you just did it anyways, I think that's good. And I'm hearing too that your, like, athleticism is what kind of really got you where you're at too, right? Because you really, like you stayed up late trying to walk on your prosthetic leg. And,
Yeah.
you know, you went to the park and just work at it. And then you reached out to Amp One on your own.
Yeah.
Like that's even, like, now I'm even more inspired. Like, damn, like, that's dope. Because a lot of the times people get connected in those because, you know, they find out through, like, charities, or they'll find you another way. Like, I've never, like, it's pretty dope that you reached out to them.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for making it happen for yourself.
And I really don't know if at the time I had any, like, oh, they're gonna respond, or is it just, hey, I'm just gonna send this and see what happens. But I was really surprised when they took it serious. They invited me out to Cleveland for a week-long trip where they were gonna be speaking to schools, and they're also gonna play against 2 Division III colleges, like, for a charity, you know, competitive, but it was for a charity. And that was my tryout, was to see how I spoke, was I presentable, and then, hey, can I play? And let me tell you, I was not ready. I really did not think they were going to call me back after that. You know, not because I didn't speak well or nothing, it just, these guys were amazing. Below the knee amputees, above the knee amputees, a couple arm amputees. These guys were amazing. They were awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So then after that, did they end up calling you back, or?
They invited me out to Indiana, and then from Indiana it was Orlando. From Orlando it was New York, and then New York turned into Oregon, and it just it went on from there. Yeah.
How long did you play with them?
I'm still playing with them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys have season on, season off, or how does the season?
So
work?
I mean, this has never been done. Amp-One basketball is the first legitimate. It's a non-profit, but the first ever stand-up basketball team, ever. Like, ever. So, I'm still with them. I started with them, like, 2012, 2013. Still there, still with them. During that time, there's been a lot of changes, just because with any business, I mean, anything you're starting up, you know, for the first time, it's a lot of work, especially with this being all over the country and trying to make that work. So, yeah, I am still with the team. Like, recently, we established a core 5 players. Again, we're around the country, but a core 5 of board members, decision makers, what we're doing, where we're going, you know. So we stay updated, you know, monthly.
That is so dope.
Yeah.
And how does it feel, like, knowing that you're still playing basketball? Like, how do you, like, do you ever feel, like, in awe, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is my life right now?
So, you know, still being able to play basketball, and that could mean anything, you know, playing basketball, you just go out there and shoot. And I know there's people that find joy in just shooting, or people finding joy in just dribbling or shoot, people find joy in just watching others play the game, you know. But for me, it's my peace. It's a constant reminder that God's given me ability, and and God's just blessed me, because not everybody has the same story. Whether hey, they experienced a traumatic car accident, and then they're able to still do something they love, you know what I mean, and still have that ability to push themselves. So a lot comes with that, and I always think, you know, when they say it could always be worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember at first it was like, what do you mean? I just lost my leg. What do you mean it could be worse? What's worse than this? Well, it took me being around some people, young kids, that were really experiencing hardships, you know, dying from cancer, and not to get too sad, dying from cancer, people that lost all four limbs, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Meeting veterans that came back from war, my age, not the same,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people my age and younger confined to a wheelchair, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for every reason you can imagine, you know. So it took me seeing that and saying, dang, what am I crying about? What do I don't have nothing to be sad about, you know.
Yeah, but I think and it's okay. Like, it's okay that you had those moments of sadness where it was like the end of the world, because that was your reality.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was your reality. So I don't think that you should take away from it, because your feelings were legitimate, they were real, and they were valid for what you were experiencing at that time. So I'm glad that you came out in like full circle though, and you were able to see, you know, in hindsight, it's not that bad, because I'm still able to do what I love, and you know, I'm okay. So that's good.
Yeah, that's just something you have to work on, in saying that, you know, now that I could be in a worse situation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it could be worse. There's worse.
And what would you say were major factors that helped you turn it around? So you said like being around other people like you. What other major factors helped you see and be where you're at right now?
I probably would definitely start with my family, because they didn't give me a pass. They didn't give me a pass, you know. I mean, yeah, of course those tears fell, and the sadness was there, and most definitely they were sad to have to you know, see it, to be there with me and go through it with me, because I wasn't alone in it, you know. Friends, family, you know, everybody involved, but it definitely was my family. I come from a family of workers, you know what I mean, that work for everything that they have, you know, and they didn't give me no sympathy, or you know what I mean, not maybe that's not the word, but they didn't give me that pass to give up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. It was like, no, Steven, you're gonna do something. You're gonna get up, and you're gonna do something, and you're gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I remember meeting your mom a couple times, and she did seem like a very headstrong woman.
Yes.
You know, very headstrong, and rooted in her faith too.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people probably were praying for you. And also your dad, like, he seemed like, I only met him a couple times again, but he seemed like that hard, you know, that hard parent, like.
Yeah, no, so, and I'm proud to say this, but my dad is a Marine. Straight up veteran. One of the hardest, difficult men.
Thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate it.
The difficult man. But you know, he was a man in my life that didn't show me and wasn't real vocal, you know, but he showed me with his actions. So, you know, coming from a strong family, again, of workers, of people that, you know, hey, life is hard whether you lose a limb or not, you know, and it'll break you down, and so they got through it all, you know.
Speak on it.
Yeah.
Life is hard for everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, it is.
So that's good that you had that instilled, because you had the foundation of parents saying like, no, this we're gonna carry you, but we're not gonna let you, you know, succumb to this because we want to feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like you know, my dad would be the same. He'd let me cry if I fell or whatever, but then he'd be like, yeah, stop, enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you give you like 2 minutes and that's it. Like, shake it off and go.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's a Hispanic thing sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely is a culture thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, okay. So what advice would you give a young or even an older adult, just somebody who's experienced something that is so tragic, like a car accident and or any tragedy that they feel like it's the end of the world, I'm not going to be able to do what I love or what I wanted to do? What advice would you give that person?
It's as simple as, you know, don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't lose faith, you know. And that's always easier said than done. But just don't give up, because, and I'm gonna get a little poetic, you know.
It's all right,
but
go for it.
not every day it rains.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't rain every day. The sun will eventually shine and the light will come through. You know, you just have to endure. You know, and that's one of my favorite quotes. I really don't know where it's from, but one of my mom's friends at the hospital, he had a poster. I remember seeing a poster, and it was like of Kobe. It might have been like Magic or Shaq, and then another former Laker player, and it said, "Those who endure conquer." And I just always took that with me, like, hey, I'm gonna endure this. But telling somebody that has gone through the same thing, I just would say, you know what, just don't lose hope, don't lose faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's, again, easier said than done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
But you'll get there eventually, like you said. It'll stop raining.
yes.
Eventually.
Yes.
Good. Well, Stephen, time is one of the most valuable gifts you can give someone.
Awesome.
And thank you for gifting me with your time to be on my podcast today.
No, thank you. It was an honor.
And to those listening, today we spoke to Stephen Mosqueda, who talked about his journey after he experienced a hardship, a very hard time he thought he was going to be able to get out of. Remember that winging it and winning is a mindset, and only you have the ability to create your best life. Join us on the next show, and please like our channel on YouTube. Thank you so much.